Ah, the starter Pokemon. These select Pokemon represent each of their generations and regions as much as their box legendaries do, with what the starter Pokemon look like being one of the most anticipated things any Pokemon fan looks forward to at the reveal of a new game. Then there's also their final evolutions, our partner's final form that we take with us to take on the champion and to get to the top of the league with. Moments that we remember for the rest of our nerdy lives! What? What do you mean that's not what we're talking about? What's today's video about? Oh, right, the middle evolutions. I knew I was forgetting something. Between the iconic starter and their final evolution is this, and this, and you certainly can't forget about this. Yeah, the middle evolutions are not really what sticks out in everyone's minds. I mean, you don't spend a super long time with them, and we all know we rush to get to that final evolution just by nature, so it seems these middle evolutions don't get much spotlight. Until today. In today's video, I'm gonna rank the middle evolutions of these starters from best to the worst. Be kind to them, they're just going through puberty. I'm sure back in middle school, nobody wanted the big old zit on their forehead to be pointed out. But unfortunately, that's a part of life. But if you're also trying to block out your awkward teenage years, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button so we can do it together. I mean, why do y'all think I talk about Pokemon so much? It's to remind myself of the joys of life and to block out the inner demons. These decisions are being made mostly on design, but some other factors may come into play as well. But no worries, we're not just gonna be sitting here just bullying a bunch of preteens. Now sure, I could just go about today's video by doing a normal, basic ranking and tier list like everybody else, but instead, how we are going to be judging these middle evolutions is going to be from the top to the flop. Yes, this is still a tier list technically, but it's different. It's different. We're not doing the normal letters, okay? We're doing top or flop. And what that's going to mean is that if I put you in the top, it means that you're the best of the best. These middle evolutions, they're good, they're great, I love them, I at least like, something about it. If you're put down in the flop, you know what that means. Girl, you're trash. You're in your flop era. There's probably little to nothing that I enjoy about whatever middle evolutions I put down there. But there's gonna be a little bit of grace with these middle evolutions today. I'm not just gonna have the one or the other. There is gonna be a solid middle ground with the or category. This purely just meaning that there's at least something that I like about it, but I wouldn't say I love it, but I also don't dislike it enough to throw it into the flop tier. Which middle evolutions will end up in the top and which will flop? Let's find out in today's video. Starting out with our Kanto middle evolutions. These are the classics, the OGs. They have been around for years. They have received critique for years and years and years now, but this is going to be their definitive judgment right here, right now. Starting off with Ivysaur. I believe that Ivysaur is actually a very, very solid middle evolution. I think that there is a lot of changes and differences they make from Bulbasaur to Ivysaur, such as the leaves being a little more torn, a different type of leaf. We have the bulb being a pink turning into a flower, kind of transitioning to what Venusaur ends up looking like with the flower on its back. And one of my favorite things about a middle evolution is when you can see the actual genuine transition between the Pokemon from first to last evolution, and Ivysaur I think does a fantastic job of doing that. So we're putting Ivysaur all the way to the top because it is a really solid middle evolution. Next up we got Charmeleon, and for Charmeleon, I'm gonna be honest here, I think it's a little basic. Now, I know, the Charmander, the Charizard fans, you're all already in the comments typing your hate comments, delete your channel. I get it, I know, I understand. Y'all love this Pokemon, okay? I'm not saying I dislike Charmander. I actually quite enjoy Charmander and Charizard. Charmeleon to me is just really not my favorite. There's not a lot going on with this design. It just happens to be a red lizard, and I think that they could have done a little bit more. I'm not judging too harshly because Generation 1, it's the first generation. They didn't really know what they were doing at this point. They were just creating designs for these little pocket monsters, so no judgment there, but I do think that out of the 3 Gen 1s that we are talking about today, being Ivysaur, Wartortle, and Charmeleon, Charmeleon kind of just is the most basic to me out of the 3. Moving right on along to Wartortle. I think that for Wartortle, it doesn't get as much credit as it deserves. I think there's actually a lot to enjoy about Wartortle. I love that this is a color palette change. It's a darker blue shade instead of the light blue colors like with Squirtle and Blastoise. I love the wave design for the tail. I would say that's probably my favorite thing about it. And then the little, like, I don't even know what you would call these. I was about to say wings. I don't know if they're wings, but the things on the side of its head, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen Wartortle before. I think that there's a lot of changes to Wartortle that make it exciting and feeling fresh, but I would say between ore or top. I'm gonna put it in the top. I really am. I think that Wartortle deserves a lot more credit than it gets. I know this looks really bad for Charmeleon, okay? I'm so sorry, Charmander fans out there. I'm not meaning to throw your boy in the bottom for nothing, but I just think out of the three, it's probably my least favorite. Let's go straight ahead into Generation 2, and for Generation 2, we're starting off with Quilava, which I love this Pokemon. I love this Pokemon so very much, so there might be some bias here in this judgment, but when I was younger, I had usernames, profiles, all these things under Quilava. I had so many things to do with Quilava. I love this Pokemon. I was obsessed with this Pokemon, but as time has gone on, it is no longer my favorite middle evolution, so I have grown. There has been character development here. My favorite thing about Quilava is definitely when it uses Flame Wheel. It looks like a flame-spiked porcupine, even though I know that's not what it is. The design is fairly basic, but as I've already stated, this is my ranking, and there is definitely going to be some bias and some preference in this, and so for me personally, Quilava's in the top. I just think it's really cool. It's one of those starters that I see the transition. It works between Cyndaquil and Typhlosion. I absolutely get it. So it's going up there. And if you disagree, that's totally fine. This is just my list. Next up, we are going to have two middle evolutions that we're going to be revisiting in Pokemon Legends ZA, unless they, for some reason, get a new form, which is Croconaw and Bayleaf. I think that these two middle evolutions, again, I feel like are a lot better than people probably give them credit for. I know obviously every Pokemon has their fans, so if you're a fan of them, you know you love them, you know they're great. This is specifically for the people who may not look at them all the time and may not realize how good they actually kind of are. Croconaw has a lot to like about it. I think that it is really cool with this mohawk design, with its like red spikes on the back. I love this color palette of the blue mixed with the yellow and the red. It actually is kind of cool, and the fact that it looks like it's wearing a diaper, how can you not enjoy that? Also, it's a bitey boy. It's super cute, it's super adorable, and really fun. How could you not want to have a Croconaw around? It's gonna be biting on your coffee table, and you're gonna love every second of it. Don't pretend like you're not. Now, for Bayleaf, there is some definite bias here coming from I am a massive fan of the anime. Ash's Bayleaf is probably one of my favorite Pokemon that he ever had in the show, and for those who watch the anime, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bayleaf was so cute. So much personality in one little Pokemon. I was here for it. Also, I watched The Land Before Time growing up, and so I'm a big fan of cute dinosaurs. And so I love Bayleaf for a lot of reasons. Its design, again, kind of like Quilava. It's a little more on the blander side. There's not a whole lot going on, but because of all the other aspects that have to come into play, I do have to put Bayleaf in the top, same as Croconaw. Going right on ahead to Generation 3, which I think across the board, all three of these middle evolutions are very, very solid. And it's not frequent that I feel like I can say this, because I feel like there's always at least one top and one flop of every single generation. But this generation, truly, they're all pretty good. Starting off with Combuskin, I'm going to put Combuskin in the ore tier, our very first one in the ore. Now, I don't dislike Combuskin, but there's nothing about it that really screams exciting to me. I know May had one in the anime. I loved May's Combuskin, but I think the only real thing that I love about it is the claws. I watched a cartoon called Shaolin Showdown growing up, and it reminds me of the Golden Tiger claws. Y'all ever see that show? I don't know. I loved it as a kid, and that's every time I look at Combuskin, that's what I think about. So I don't know. There's nothing really about this design that I'm in love with, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the ore tier. Y'all know him. You love them. Next up is Grovyle. Grovyle is perfect. I would not change a thing about Grovyle. Grovyle to me is like the picture perfect middle evolution. Looks good in the line, looks like the absolute perfect thing in the center of Trico and Sceptile. It has that huge character going on in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. Ash had one and had it for so long in the anime, and I loved its character there too. Everything about Grovyle is great. The green and pink color palette, all the leaves on its head and the arms, like, I truly wouldn't change a thing. I would not. Like, this is the top of the tops. Like, if I was going to be ranking individually in all of the tiers, I would put Grovyle at the top of the top tier. But we're not going to be doing that today. But just know, if I was, Grovyle would be up there. And then you have Marshtomp. I mean, Marshtomp is just a derpy, fun, good time. I mean, this Pokemon constantly just has a big grin, a big big smile, hands up in the air, always having a good time. How can you not enjoy Marshtomp? I think that the Mudkip and Swampert evolution line is just one of the best ones that we're ever gonna get, not only because of its water ground typing, but the design is just so freaking fun. The Gen 3 starters really, y'all, we don't deserve the Gen 3 starters. They are so freaking good. I don't know if we're ever gonna get a trio like this ever again, to where like all of them are so insanely solid. It's not even fair to the other generations, really. But to me, Marshtomp is definitely going in the top tier, so unfortunately, yeah, Combusken's the only one I would put in ore, but it's not even because I dislike it, it's just my least favorite out of the three. Next up, we got a lot of people's favorite generation, which is Generation 4, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and girl, we are gonna be starting off with some opinions, because we got Grotle, and I'm putting Grotle in the flop tier. Now, I know this is gonna be really confusing because I put Bayleaf in the top tier, and they're both grass dinosaurs, so you're like, what's the difference? What makes Bayleaf so good and Grotle so bad? I don't get it, Dominic. Why you're crazy? What are you doing? I don't really know what I'm doing either, honestly. I'm kind of just like going on a whim here. Grotle, to me, there's nothing about this Pokemon that is like screaming excitement to me. I don't necessarily get it. Like, I'm not getting that it factor. I'm not getting that star quality. And baby, if you don't have star quality, you need to get out of here. That's a Candy Muse reference, if you understand. I just wish that Grotle had a little bit more going on in terms of its back. I mean, I think the whole exciting thing about the Torterra evolution line is eventually it becomes where it has like this whole garden and ecosystem on its back, and the fact that the middle evolution just has like these very boring green shrubs on its back. Like, they could have at least maybe thrown some flowers on the shrubs, or like, I don't know, maybe the hint of a tree starting to grow. I don't know. I don't think that Grotle is awful. I just think that it could have had more going on. Next up is Monferno, and Monferno, I love the Chimchar line. One of my favorite plushes that I had growing up was a Chimchar plush. It was one of my favorite ones. I still have it. I love it very, very much. So I'm very fond of this line. So it's very interesting to me that as I've kind of grown up, I do think that Monferno ends up in the ore tier for me. I just think that there are some things that I like about it. I love the blue mask. Obviously, I love Monferno from the anime Ashes. Like, it was really, really fun seeing that character growth. Probably one of the best arcs of any of Ash's Pokemon from the anime was his Chimchar. There's a lot to like about Monferno, so I'm gonna put it in this middle tier because there are things I like about it. But again, its design itself is not my favorite thing in the world. So I would say purely for design purposes, I'm putting it in the center, but I do like a lot about Monferno. I would say the same thing goes for Prinplup. There's a lot to like about this design. I think a penguin Pokemon is very, very cute. I know at the time I had been looking forward to getting a penguin Pokemon when I saw Piplup for the very first time. So I was very curious to see what its evolutions would look like, and I'm a big Empoleon fan, probably one of my favorite starter final evolutions. I really, really enjoy Empoleon, but Prinplup, it makes sense. It looks like it fits within the evolution line. There are some cool things about it, such as its yellow detail on the head leading into the beak. I love the pattern on the chest. I think that it's a good Pokemon. It's just not my favorite, again, in terms of design. So it and Monferno are kind of tied in that regard. Yikes, not a good showing for Generation 4. I feel so bad, but at the same time, these are my opinions. So I was not expecting Generation 4 to go this way, but I guess this is how the cookie crumbles. Or the Poffin. So sorry, Generation 4. Also, I know it has nothing to do with Pokemon, but I just have a lot of caffeine surging through me right now, so I need to talk about it. I've been obsessed with these Bloom drinks. I am in no way, shape, or form sponsored by Bloom. I promise you that. But Bloom, if you would like to sponsor me, you know, a boy's right here. I've been, like, obsessed with these. I really, really enjoy them. All right, but back to the Pokemon. Next, we're going on to my current personal favorite generation, which is Generation 5, Black and White, Black 2, White 2. Waiting for the remakes. I love this generation so freaking much. And this is one of those generations that a lot of people have opinions of these starters, and some of those opinions are not too good. First up is Servine, and I am a massive fan of the Superior Evolution line. Superior probably in my top 3 final starters because I love snakes. I always thought that they were super cool, and getting this like very regal grass snake starter was very awesome. I definitely used it the first time I played the game. Servine, on the other hand, is not my favorite middle evolution. I do love that there's that hint of regalness that we get with Superior, with the yellow around the neck. but I do think it's a little bit boring. It's not my favorite thing to look at design-wise, and its little tiny hands always kind of weirded me out. I don't love the hands. So I'm gonna put it in the ore tier, just because it's kind of being lifted by its other evolutions. I don't really know if that's fair to do, to like think of the other Pokemon in the evolution line to put it in the middle, but I don't dislike Servine enough to put it in the flop tier, so this is where we're gonna put it. Next up is a Pokemon that everybody owes an apology to. Everyone needs to look at this Pignite and you need to apologize, because everybody's coming for Pignite's throat. This Pokemon can't breathe because everybody's just constantly stepping on his neck. Pokemon is a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for, and the reason that I say that is because a lot of people just think it's ugly. And for what? It makes complete sense in its evolutionary line from Tepig to Emboar. It makes complete sense concept-wise. It's very, very cute in terms of its design. I mean, look at its little snout, and I love its outfit. I mean, I don't love Pokemon that have like kind of built-in clothing into their design, and we'll talk about that later of which Pokemon I'm specifically talking about. But for Pignite, this built-in clothing absolutely works, and I think flatters the design, if anything. I mean, the gloves are cute on the hands, the little like wrestling outfit with the gold on the front. Like, there's actually a lot to like about this, and it's got a curly little tail. Oh, we're being too mean to Pignite, and this might be my most controversial opinion of the video, but I'm standing by it, okay? I will stand by Pignite no matter what. If Pignite has one fan, it's me, and it will always be me. I will always be around to defend Pignite. Call me crazy for it, but Pignite is going in the top tier. Finally, we got Dewott. And for Dewott, I mean, I kind of feel with Dewott the way that I feel about Grovyle. There's really not much negative to say about this thing. Dewott is probably the perfect middle evolution for Oshawott and Samurott. I wouldn't change anything about it. I think its dual Scald Chops on the sides, perfect. Its battle-ready demeanor, awesome. Its blue color palette that's different from the other three, awesome, great. It's kind of similar to Wartortle in that way. There's so much to like about this, and if you don't like Dewott, then I think you just don't like otters, and I don't understand what's wrong with that, because otters are great. Looking at the top tier for Dewott as well. Taking a trip back over to Generation 6, which we are revisiting in Legends ZA, and I cannot wait for the next trailer to come out, hopefully sometime soon. Let's talk about the Kalos starters, which we surprisingly have not seen literally anything of. They are in hiding. They're like hiding from the paparazzi, hiding from the media. They don't want to be seen. We haven't seen anything of them. I don't know what's going on with them in Legends ZA and why they have been literally MIA. But let's talk about their middle evolutions, and starting off with Quilladin. Now, just as I immediately shot Dewott and Pignite up to the top tier, I'm immediately shooting Quilladin to the flop tier. It is no secret what my opinion on this Pokemon is. It makes me like mildly uncomfortable. I have talked about it on numerous occasions. I'm not a Quilladin fan, probably my least favorite middle evolution. I couldn't even tell you what it is specifically. Like, I just don't like it. I don't trust this thing. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable with this Pokemon around. I'm sure Quilladin has fans out there, and if you love it, I'm glad you love it. It's not for me. For me personally, I don't feel comfortable with Quilladin. I wouldn't trust this thing to hold on to my money. I wouldn't even trust this thing to open the door if it saw me walking behind it. Braixen, on the other hand, is a phenomenal middle evolution. So phenomenal, in fact, that they literally gave it a spot on the roster for Pokken Tournament. Not its evolution Delphox, but Braixen, and I think they did that for a reason. Braixen's design is very, very nice. I love the like spindly hair coming out of its ears. I love how its like fur on the bottom is kind of like tilted and angled, but the best part obviously is the fact that it keeps its wand and its bushy tail in the back. There's a lot to like about this design, and I do think I enjoy this a lot more than Delphox, so the fact that I enjoy the middle evolution more than the final evolution, how often can you say that? And the fact that I can say that alone proves that Braixen is in the top tier for sure. Then we move on to Frogadier, which is interesting that I'm going to be putting one of the Kalos starters in each of the tiers. I'm going to put Frogadier in the ore tier. And the reasoning for that is it's not inherently bad, but I also don't love anything about it enough to put it in the top tier. And I think the reasoning for that is that Frogadier and Greninja are very, very similar. They look almost exactly the same with just little differences here and there. Instead of the tongue scarf, we have the bubble scarf. They give exactly the same pose when they're standing. I just think that they're very, very similar, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just when your final evolution, such as Greninja, does a better job of giving the vibe that you're giving than you do, I think it's only natural that you would kind of fall to the wayside like this, and I'm putting you in the ore tier. Let's go ahead and talk about a underrated generation, I feel, which is Pokemon Sun and Moon Generation 7. I actually am thinking of making a video sometime soon talking about Generation 7 and how it's in a very interesting position. A lot of people love it and feel it's underrated, but then some people out there feel like it's awful and one of the worst generations, one of the most forgettable generations, and so I feel like it deserves to be talked about. So look out for that maybe sometime soon. I might be scripting that. Getting back to the middle evolutions, let's go ahead and start out with Blathers. I mean, Dartrix. The reason that I love this Pokemon so much partially does have something to do with it looks like Blathers from Animal Crossing. I mean, this Pokemon is adorable. It's going immediately to the top tier for me. This cute little leaf bow tie, the cute little swoopy like grass hair on the side. Also, I'm just a big fan of owls, and I think the color palette's adorable with the green and the white and the brown. I think that there's a lot to like about this Pokemon, and it's absolutely a top for me. I definitely would say the same thing about Torracat. I think that, again, this Pokemon is fantastic, and the reasoning that I specifically am putting Torracat in the top is I remember when this Pokemon first came out and I saw it for the first time, I got super excited thinking that its final evolution was going to be this big, menacing fire cat on all fours, and obviously we got what we got. We got Incineroar, and look, I'm not saying that Incineroar's bad. I'm just saying that I'm not Wolfie Glick, okay? Like, I'm not over here saying Incineroar's the best Pokemon in the world. If you love it, and I love that for you. But I am still picturing in my mind, when Generation 7 first came out, I got all excited thinking we were gonna get this on all fours kind of fire, saber-toothed tiger, or big lion, or big tiger. Like, that's what I envisioned, and Torracat, I think, kind of symbolizes that hope and that excitement for me, and so I will always hold a special place in my heart for Torracat, and there's just a lot to like about it. The black and red looks cool. I love that it stays on all fours, you know I'm all about that, and the cute little fire bell around its neck. It's just a really great Pokemon all around. Generation 7, pulling out some bangers, who would have thought? And then moving on to our final one, Brionne. I think, again, Brionne, to me, is kind of similar to Combuskin in the sense of I really enjoy the other two middle evolutions so much that I just don't feel the same way about Brionne. I don't dislike Brionne, that's why I'm going to put it in the ore tier, but I see the concept. They're going for the circus performing seal. That's very clear with its design, but again, I just prefer the other evolutions a little bit more. But girl, Brionne is still adorable. She's still my girl. She's still cute. I don't dislike you. You're not a flop. And don't let anybody tell you that you're a flop, because I know there's some people out there that are going to say that Brionne deserves to be in the flop tier. I'm not about that. Don't talk to my girl that way, alright? Like, look at her beautiful little skirts, her beautiful little designs, her beautiful bubbles on her head. Like, don't talk to her like that. Moving right on along to Generation 8, which has some of, I would say, the most disliked starters of any generation. I see a lot of hate for the Gen 8 starters, and I get it, but at the same time, I do think that they are judged very, very harshly. There are some things to like about them, but that all being said, yeah, they're not the best. Starting off with Thwackey, which is definitely my least favorite of the evolution lines just as a whole, but in terms of the middle evolution, I think that Thwackey actually is a pretty successful job, but I am going to put it in the ore tier because one of my favorite things about it is its hair and the pulling out the sticks to make this crazy like mohawk on its head, but other than that, I don't love its design, and just because I'm not a massive fan of its design other than that one concept, I'm gonna put it in the ore tier. Next up is a Pokemon that I am incredibly biased towards. Like, I can't even pretend for 1/2 a second that this Pokemon is purely incredible, because I'm not sure that it is outside of my mind. Obviously, every Pokemon has their fans. I'm sure someone out there will agree with me that Reboot is a top tier Pokemon. I am a soccer player. I played soccer for 13 years of my life growing up, and so seeing Reboot and the Cinderace evolution line being a soccer playing rabbit, of course I was gonna love this design. Of course I was gonna love this Pokemon. So yes, there is bias in this choice. I also think that it's adorable the way that it has its little like hoodie covering its face, and it has this like cool persona. I think that it's really adorable. There's a lot to like about it. It's got like a tuft of hair on its head. It's like jogging and it's art. I don't know. I enjoy everything about this. And I think, again, like we talked about with Pignite, there are ways to make built-in clothing into a Pokemon design work and I don't love this as much as I do Pignites, but it definitely works a lot more than the Pokemon that we will get to. As for Drizzile, this is... yeah. We're gonna have another generation here where I actually put one starter in each of the 3 tiers because I'm putting Drizzile in the flop tier. Drizzile is in its flop era. I don't like this Pokemon. Let me tell you why. Drizzile, to me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't understand this through line. I don't understand this evolution line whatsoever. We go from Sobble, which is a crybaby, to a kind of works at Hot Topic lizard with this tuft of hair coming down, and then we end up with Inteleon, who is a super spy. I'm sure someone out there can make sense of it, and it's like, it totally makes sense. It all adds up, Dominic. You just don't get it. You're right. I don't get it. Drizzile for me is definitely not my favorite. I don't think there's really anything exciting about this that I'm into. I think the coolest thing about it is the fact that it can like make little bubbles with its hands and it throws them for its attacks. But I'm not a massive fan of this Pokemon. Which is so sad to say because when Sword and Shield first came out, I was absolutely Team Sobble all the way before the final evolutions came out and we just saw the 3 Pokemon. I was Team Sobble. And then we saw the final evolutions. And then, yeah, that happened. We have finally arrived at our final generation that we're going to talk about today, Generation 9. And these starters, again, very, very interesting. Lots of opinions. Lots of people got opinions of them, and let's talk about it. I think that the middle evolutions are some of the most controversial out of these starters to talk about, and we're going to dive into it first with Crocalor. And for Crocalor, I think a lot of people are just a big fan of Fuecoco and how cute Fuecoco is, how derpy it is, and the derpiness does continue on through Crocalor, but not in the same kind of way. It definitely took me a hot second to start liking this Pokemon, but I do think the concept of the egg on its head being eventually the bird that sits on top of Skeledirge, there's a cute like concept and through line, and I will always, always, always appreciate that with a middle evolution, that there is a through line going through. So I'm gonna put Crocalor in the ore tier, honestly just for that. Its design is not bad enough to put in the flop tier. If anything, I do enjoy that its face kind of does look a little skeletal, which makes sense for Skeledirge later on down the line. So I'm going to put it in the ore tier. Next up is Florigato, and this Pokemon has made leaps and bounds in the Pokemon community. Now, everybody's talking about this Pokemon. It is used in the anime for our main character, Liko. It is in Pokemon Go right now. You can get one with a cute, adorable little hat fascinator thing. I mean, it's cute. My favorite thing about Florigato is the fact that it uses a yo-yo. I mean, what a crazy concept. Like, where do you even get the idea this cat standing on 2 legs is going to be using a grass flower yo-yo? Like, what were you smoking when you made this design? Because I'm very curious. But it all works somehow. Like, I really do enjoy the Meowscarada line. I was not a fan of it when it first came out, but it has really grown on me, as it seems like a lot of other people as well, and I think there is a lot to like about Florigato, and so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the top tier. Now, do y'all remember this thing that I've been referencing the entire video of talking about a Pokemon that's wearing clothing that I'm not necessarily a fan of, and it doesn't work? It's unfortunately, we're talking about Quaxwell. Now, this actually physically pains me to say, like, I don't like talking about it like this, because Quaxly, that's my child. I don't feel good talking bad about the Quaxly line, because I'm not trying to give anybody any reason to hate the Quaxly line, because I'm its like #1 defender. But with Quaxwell, there are just some things that we have to talk about, okay? I don't love this design. It's my least favorite out of the 3. I think that it just doesn't look right to me. There's something about it that just doesn't make sense in my mind. It's not visually pleasing to the eye to look at. I think that the hair, it's not as like nicely coiffed as its other 2 evolutions. The foot, how it kind of, there's a little yellow band to make its like foot kind of look like a shoe, and I don't like that. I really don't enjoy that they're making its foot not look like a foot but a shoe. Because now I'm questioning in my mind, like, is it a shoe? Is it a, like, where does it get this? Where does it get this shoe when it evolves? I understand we're going for like a ballet inspiration. That's very, very clear. I do like the concept of a ballet dancer. It just feels a little haphazardly thrown in, because that's obviously not what Quaquaval turns into in the very end. So where is this ballet coming from? Again, kind of like Drizzile, I just don't understand the vision here, or what we were going for. If we're just talking like base level dancing, yes, I get that. But I don't love this ballet outfit either. Like, it doesn't really look the nicest. I don't know, like, Quaxwell has just never really sit well with me, and I have been grieving about it ever since. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel because I love Quaxley, I love Quackleval, probably one of my favorite starter evolutions lines. I just have to, like, ignore Quaxwell. Like, it feels so weird to love something so much and be like, oh, but Quaxwell's kind of there too. That's why, like, I love it so much that I don't even care. Like, y'all, I will let Quaxwell slide if it means that I can continue loving and adoring Quackleval and Quaxley. Like, it's fine. I'm not gonna judge Quaxwell that much because I love the others. That being said, it's still going in the flop tier. And there you have it. There is our final list of all of the Pokemon starter middle evolutions. I would say if I absolutely had to pick a favorite and a least favorite, the top of all the tops and the flop of all the flops, I'm going with Grovyle for the top. It's absolutely perfect. Nothing I would change about it. And y'all already know it is really amazing. And one of the Pokemon I feel like that has been utilized the most out of any of the middle evolutions for sure. And a lot of that is thanks to Mystery Dungeon, which needs to make a return in the series. And then for my least favorite, it again, no secret, Quilladin. Quilladin. Hands down Quilladin. Always. I will always say Quilladin. Did I say Quilladin? Quilladin is my least favorite. One of these days, I would love to see Quilladin just get like a random regional form for some reason and just like shut me up. Like, shut me up. I want to be shut up. Like, I would love to see Quilladin one day just get like a random different regional design. But as always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it. And let me know down in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with any of my things. I'm sure some of y'all will, but let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite and least favorite middle evolutions are, and if you agree or disagree with any of my choices, let me know why. Y'all know I love hearing from you. And to wrap up this video and end it on a final note, make sure to go and apologize to a Pignite today, because like I said earlier, it deserves the apology, okay? It deserves better. You can leave out Quilladin though.